Good morning, David.
Good morning, Karat.
Tell us, does thinking about failure make people risk-averse?
Not necessarily. It depends how you think about failure. If you think that failure is a bad thing, and it shows that you're incompetent, or you can't do your job, or you're a bad person, or you're weak, and you think about that a lot, then clearly one of the things it might do is to stop you taking risks that could lead to failure. And if that's the way you view failure, then yes, thinking about it and focusing on it might well make you more risk-averse, less willing to take risks, less comfortable in a risky situation. But there's a different way to think about failure. I actually edited a book, I guess it was about 4 or 5 years ago, called The Failure Files, Perspectives on Failure. And it was the result of a project run by a group of professionals in the UK across a very wide range of sectors, looking at attitudes to failure in personal life, in family life, in organisations, in projects, in societies, in the way that we treat the vulnerable, in the way that we run our government. All of these things, it's a very broad study. And I had a very interesting interview with an entrepreneur who had run a number of companies. He'd launched them and they'd failed. And then he'd launched another one and it had failed. He'd launched another one and it failed. I said to him, thinking of your business life, are you a success or a failure? And he said, I don't know yet, I haven't finished. Which was a very interesting, interesting perception to say that you only know if you've failed when you come to the end. Because failure is a learning opportunity. Failure is natural. You know, we find a lot of failure in the world. You find trees grow and then they die, forests burn down, animals become extinct. Lots of things fail naturally, and failure is part of the cycle of life and death. And so it's a natural thing for projects and for organisations and for businesses, for governments, for families, for individuals to fail. The question is, what do we do with it? And if I say, well, I can learn from this, why did I fail? How did I fail? What caused it? Is there something I can do differently in the future? And then failure becomes a helpful step to becoming better in the future. So in that sense, if you think about failure as an opportunity to learn, as part of the growth and maturing process, because we learn through failure, we learn to walk by falling down and getting up and trying again, as you know from your young children, then failure becomes something more positive. And then you think about failure in a way that says, maybe I'll try again but differently, and then you will take a risk. So thinking about failure might help you to become more balanced in your approach to risk, but only if you think about it in that more enlightened, more broad way.
I like the fact that you say failure, think of failure as something positive, because, you know, sometimes failure can be so once a person fails, it can be so threatening that the person strives so hard for success that he never fails again, he or she never fails again. So failure can actually have a very good impact on whatever you're doing. And therefore, failure is important.
Yes, if you become overcautious and you're not prepared to step out again in case you fail again, that's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
And the idea of blame,
Yes.
you know, should you be blamed for failure? Well, the answer is yes, sometimes. Sometimes I failed because I did something stupid.
I mean, taking responsibility is not a bad thing.
Yes, that's right.
Even if it's for your own failure or for someone else's.
Yes. But sometimes failure just happens. You know, bad things happen to good people. And so if failure is, I'm not to blame, I didn't do anything wrong, I was just unlucky, or I didn't have the right skills or the right tools, or people didn't support me. Please don't blame me for my failure, but let's learn the lesson and let's take a chance next time and it might be better.
Thumbs up to that. Thank you, David.
Thank you.